Lesson 4: Kabbalah and the Minor Arcana. To understand the Minor Arcana cards as they relate to the Kabbalah, all we have to do is look at the card's placement on the Tree of Life. The numbers in the suits correspond directly to the numbers of the Sefirot, aces belonging to Keter and tens ending in Malkut. In Lesson 2, we discussed the four worlds of the Tree of Life and its relation to the Tetragrammaton, Yud, He, Vav, He. Each world is associated with an element. Remember, Yud is fire, He is water, Vav is air, and He final is earth. On the Tree of Life, the aces are given a special treatment. They sit above all other Sefirot in Keter, pure spirit. And just like out of spirit everything else is created, the aces embody the full potential of any given suit. Whether or not this potential will be realized is another story. So what we need to do here is place the numbered cards into the four worlds, and then the four trees into those worlds. Thus, 2s, 3s belong to Atzilut, the world of fire. 4s, 5s, and 6s belong to Briah, the world of water. 7s, 8s, and 9s belong to Yetzirah, air, and 10s are in their own earthly world of Asiyah. Therefore, when we discuss a particular small card, we need to consider the influence of the qualities of the Sefirah associated with the number of the card, combined with the element of the world. For example, 7 of Swords is Netzach in Yetzirah. Netzach is victory. Yetzirah, like the suit of Swords, is air. Therefore, we have victory in air. And so we have an action that will be done at any cost, without any consideration for morals, ethics, or feelings. Furthermore, the further we are from the source, which is Keter, the less we are influenced by spirit, which is love. And voila, the 7 of Swords often means deceit, treachery, or betrayal. Take a look at another example. Let's examine the 4 of Pentacles. It is Chesed in Asiyah, the material world. Chesed is mercy. The magnanimous Chesed, which hails from the world of water, penetrates Asiyah, which is earth. It's like a rainfall assuring a good crop. And thus, with the nourishment of water and soil, we have an assurance that our harvest is safe. And so the 4 of Pentacles often means stability, security, and control. And to complete the circle, we would be amiss if we didn't also consider the astrological aspects of small cards. As we learned in the Tarot Deep Dive course, each number card is associated with a zodiac sign. But that's not all. At any given time of the year, a planet visits the card sign, making it more or less favorable. And that's the relationship we need to bring into this equation to make our small cards understanding complete. It is only when we consider the tarot in the context of astrology and the Kabbalah that we get a 360-degree view of the card's meaning. And so the formula for the small cards is quite simple. The weight it carries, however, is quite hefty. The formula, part of which I borrow from Lanmila Duquette, it carries both astrological and Kabbalistic considerations. NS plus PZS plus WE equals SC. Now that's not gibberish. It means number of suit plus planet and zodiac sign plus world element equals small card. It's easy. Really it is. To demonstrate, let's take the example of 5 of Cups. 5 of Cups is Mars in Scorpio in the world of Briah, water. Now Mars is a fiery planet of energy, action, and desire. Scorpio is more than happy to host Mars because, like Mars, Scorpio is passionate and driven. But there is a problem. As all of this is going on in the world of water, figuratively speaking, you might say that cold water just got splashed all over that fiery romance. And what we get then is disappointment, which is the description of the Five of Cups. It's not a coincidence that the Golden Dawn title for this card is Lord of Loss in Pleasure. Just to solidify, let's take another example, which just happens to be my birth card. Deep sigh, the Nine of Swords. Following a formula, we have Mars in Gemini in Yetzirah, air. In this card, all the energy and passion and desire of Mars enters Gemini, who's all about let's have a meaningful conversation first. And to make matters worse, it's all happening in, you guessed it, Yetzirah, air, a world that will analyze and overanalyze everything to the point where Mars's enthusiasm is cruelly crushed. And so we have Nine of Swords, cruelty. And just in case you're not a professional astrologer who can recall planetary placement in zodiac signs at any given time of the year, the link on this slide will take you to a calculator that will do it for you automatically. Just choose a suit and number, and voila, you have the information at your fingertips, just like that. And so now we need to bring it home to the court cards, and we will use the analogy of a family unit: father, mother, son, daughter. Thus, the Sephirah of Chokhmah, which is male and positive and directive, joins its opposite, Binah, which is female, negative, and receptive, to produce a son, Tiferet, and daughter, Malkut, or king, queen, prince, and princess. Please note here that a lot of decks use knights in place of prince and page instead of princess. When we look at this journey in reverse to follow as above, so below principle, as we discussed in lesson 2, we would start with the princess who resides in our earthly plane of Malkut. And how appropriate it is that in the tarot readings, the princess or page is the very beginning stage of any development. And so, as the princess develops, she climbs up the tree of life through a number of paths, as we discussed in lesson 3, and there she meets her prince and opposite, and they join together and they climb up the tree where they become queen and king. And as you probably predicted by now, once they become queen and king, they will have a son and daughter, and so the cycle continues perpetually. And if it sounds somewhat incestuous, just think back to ancient Egyptian pharaohs who married siblings to retain their royal family line. Sorry, I didn't make it up. Unlike the small cards, the court cards, instead of picking up the traits of the 4 worlds, will get a unique, let's say, royal treatment. And so we come back to the Tetragrammaton, the royal name, Yud Hey Vav Hey. And each of the royal family will be assigned one of its 4 letters, which in turn corresponds to an element. So kings are Yud, which is fire, activating, positive. Queens are Hey, water, receptive, negative, formative. The princes are Vavs, air, activating, positive. And as you guessed it, princesses are Hey, final, earth, receptive, negative, formative. Opposites, anyone? And so when we discuss the court cards, it is extremely important to remember the origin Sephirah element of the court card and the conditional element, the suit. For example, as all queens come out of the element of water, the Queen of Cups would be water in water. Therefore, all the best qualities of the element would shine in the Queen of Cups. After all, she's in her element on the throne of water. On the other hand, let's examine the Queen of Swords. She is water and air. On the one hand, the qualities of water, sensitivity, feelings, will soften the qualities of pure air, which is called intellect. On the other hand, this queen, who understands that she needs to be direct and rational, may be too abrupt and too direct, as she deliberately suppresses her feelings in her need to put intellect and rationale above all. To be sure, the feelings are still there, but the constant need to subdue them may eventually have this queen explode. Keep this in mind. When we are reading court cards, we are discussing situations and circumstances that are either controlled or influenced by individuals. And now, as we come to the end of lesson 4, there are 2 exercises for this lesson. First, separate the small cards from the rest of the deck and only shuffle the small cards. Ask the cards, what do I need to know about my upcoming day, week, month? And randomly pick out a card. Applying the formula for the small cards, determine the meaning of the card. What is the card telling you? And now separate the court cards from the rest of the deck and shuffle them. And choose an issue or dilemma or challenge, obstacle you're currently facing and ask yourself, what is the energy around this situation? And randomly pick out a court card. And applying the Sephirah suit formula of the court card, try to figure out, what is this card telling you? And go through this exercise as many times as desired to really understand the meanings of the cards that you picked. This is the end of lesson 4.